Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show with me, Pvt.Ltd. There are a plethora of funds available in the market to invest your hard-earned money, but how do you assess which is the right fund for your portfolio? What are the criteria that one should look at? To help you navigate through this maze, we have on board Hemant Rustagi, Wiseinvest Pvt.Ltd. Also, do not forget to send us your portfolio queries on our WhatsApp number, which is 865-797-4571. You can also email us your queries on themoneyshow@etnow.tv. Hemant, good evening and welcome to the show. And we are trying to connect to our first viewer who was there and the line just got disconnected, Ankur Goel. You have his question with you. He's 39 years old and he's lined up his goals. Okay, I have Ankur on the line with me. Ankur, hi. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hello. Hello, Kavita ji.
Hi. Where are you from?
Yeah, I am from Gurgaon.
Gurgaon. Okay. I can see you've done your planning really well. You know, you've lined up your goals. You've given it an amount, the duration that's needed to suggest your investment strategy. And okay, I think he's again gone from the line. Okay. Child education goal, Hemant, by 2030 he needs 50 lakh. Child marriage 2037 he needs 75 lakhs, and retirement corpus 2043 he needs 8 crores. So far in mutual funds he's accumulated 7.15 lakh. I want to understand if that is the okay, that's a total invested amount, it seems. He has Canara Bank Emerging Equity, Parag Parikh Flexi Cap. He also has Kotak Emerging Equities, SBI Small Cap and Nippon India Small Cap. He's invested directly into shares as well, and PPF he has for himself and his wife 7 lakhs each, NPS 5 lakh approximately, and sovereign gold bond 1 lakh. Current SIPs are also going on. The above mentioned funds were lump sum investment. He's got SIPs in Parag Parikh Flexi Cap, SBI Small Cap, Kotak Emerging Equity, and he's investing in NPS also. So that's the portfolio. I think now if we get Ankur online, maybe he can just hear out the portfolio checking that's Hemant about to do. Hemant, over to you.
Yes, Kavita, I think important thing, like you rightly mentioned, I think he's defined his goal very well, defined his time horizon very well, which is, I think, absolutely important for anyone who wants to plan for these important goals, because all these three goals are very important: child education, marriage, and retirement. And he is very clear in terms of how much time he has, and he has actually assigned also a target for each one. And good thing is that he started building his portfolio. He's investing in, like you mentioned, in mutual fund, in stocks, PPF, NPS. Now what he needs to do is, since he has begun his investment process already, he needs to align these investment to individual goals, because this is very important. If you don't do that, it becomes very difficult for you to track how you are going ahead with each of the goals. So in this case, let me begin with child education. The money is required in 2030, around 7 years time. Target is 50 lakh. I would say that, whatever he has accumulated in the mutual fund, which is 7.15, plus his stock portfolio of 4 lakhs, and current his SIP investment is around 21,000. So I would say maybe align 18,000 to that goal. So if he continues this SIP for the next 7 years and allow this part of the portfolio of mutual fund and stocks to accumulate over the next 7 years, he should be able to achieve that target. So the first target, I don't see any problem. Second, for the marriage, he requires around 75 lakh. So he has another 7 years for that. So in all, 14 years. Like I mentioned, he has SIP of 21,000. We have aligned already 18,000. So the remaining 3,000 for the next 7 years and 21,000 for the next 7 years. Okay, we'll get him something around 40 lakh. He will have a shortfall of around 35 lakhs. He needs to add his SIP by 8,000. So his SIP should go from 21 to 29 to achieve the second goal. For the third goal, which is almost 20 years away, and the target is around 8 crores, that's a huge target. What are we left with? We are left with basically the money that he has invested in PPF in his name, and I think in his wife's name. He is also investing on a monthly basis in NPS and also investing 50,000 lump sum. So these two have to be aligned to this goal. And we talked about the 21,000 SIP. After 14 years, he'll have another 6 years till his retirement. He can continue with that. So with all this investment, he should be able to accumulate something around 2.25 crore. So there is going to be a shortfall of almost like 5.75 crore, for which if he wants to plan from now, he will have to increase his SIP by 30,000 And in addition to that, step up SIP by 10% over the next 20 years. So clearly we can see there is a slight mismatch, in fact, in his retirement goal. He needs to either relook at his goal or maybe make an effort to increase the SIP the way I just mentioned. In 3 funds that he is investing through SIP, I think they're all good funds. He can continue with that, but I would, urge him to keep one thing in mind, that if he's increasing his SIP in future, he need to bring down his allocation to mid and small, because right now it's almost 67%, which is being invested there. He has 2 small cap funds there, SBI and Nippon. He should keep only one. There's no need for him to keep 2 SIP. So two small cap funds. So some changes, like I mentioned, rework on the target, and if he does that, he should be able to achieve his targets.
All right, so that was the solution for Ankur. But then we move on. We have Prabhakar from Gurgaon on the phone line. Prabhakar, hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you so much for sending us your query. And I believe you are investing in index funds.
Correct.
Okay. And you want an inflation-beating return, and you want to know what will be the scenario post-taxation, and you want to know downsides of these index funds. Any specific reason why you want to invest only through index funds?
Because it's minimal headache. Monitoring is one thing which I don't want to do. And if it's index funds, right? So it's the market which is deciding the constituents rather than a fund manager. So if I choose an active fund, so the constituents I need to keep an eye on, the returns I need to keep an eye on. Rather than that, I want minimal headache, minimal worry. So it's index funds.
And what about the fund manager's expertise? What about the fund manager expertise? You don't want to take that risk?
No, I don't.
All right.
Because market is better, the overall market is better than an individual, is my perception, for an average return.
Not even a balance of passive and an active strategy in your portfolio. You don't even want that.
No.
Maybe because for few market cap categories, you might just want to, just follow a nice and big fund manager who's proved, to been there in the market around and given returns to their funds. For a large cap, maybe you can have an index fund strategy, but for a mid cap, small cap, not open for a fund manager strategy as well?
So similar thing, I would rather have an index fund for the small cap and mid cap as well, because let the market determine the constituents than a fund manager. All right.
So we got the sense of it now. Hemant, what will be your suggestion or recommendation?
Well, Kavita, I think Prabhakar made it very clear that he actually wants to kind of remain invested in index fund. He likes index fund better than active fund. But let me just touch upon certain important points. There's no doubt about the fact that investing in index fund can be a good idea, because one, there is a complete transparency in terms of what kind of stocks which are going to be there. There is well diversified portfolio. There is no human bias. There is a low cost. But at the same time, I think it's important for us to understand, when you're investing for the long term, if you rely only on the index fund for your portfolio, you forfeit the chances of earning better than market return. Even though Prabhakar has mentioned very clearly that he doesn't want that. But the fact is, as an equity investor, when you're taking the risk of being in equity, it's important that you make an attempt to get better return. And I think India is a market where we've seen, as you rightly mentioned, Kavita, that the fund managers have been at least in 2 segments, in mid and small, or a different category of fund like large and mid or multi-cap, have been able to deliver alpha. And I think that should continue for the years to come. Now, if I look at his portfolio specifically, there are 3 funds, because it's very important for us to choose the indices very well. Here, there is Nifty 50, there is Nifty Next 50, and there is Nifty Equal Weight, which means that, Prabhakar, your entire investment is going into the top 100 company only in the large cap. But the fact remains that when you're investing in equity for the long term, there are segments like mid cap and small. If you choose them in the right proportion, they can actually make a significant difference to the portfolio return that you can make over the longer period. So, my advice certainly would be that even if you want to remain only in the index funds, you must include the small cap and the mid cap index fund in your portfolio. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I think there is an opportunity for you to consider a mix of index fund and active fund to ensure that you can get better return. As far as whether you'll be able to beat inflation, look, equity as an asset class has the potential to deliver positive real rate of return. You may not be able to get that alpha, but definitely you'll be able to beat the index over a longer period. There is absolutely no doubt. But I would definitely recommend having a mix of passive fund and active fund to improve your portfolio return considerably.
All right, Prabhakar, is there anything else you want to ask Hemant?
Yes. So the first thing is just regarding the inflation return itself. When you say that an index fund would be able to beat inflation, that is post-taxation, right?
Oh yes, when I'm talking about Prabhakar, real rate of return, basically two important things. We're not looking at only gross return, we're looking at inflation obviously and the taxation. Because what happens is there are a number of studies that have been done. So significant part of your return comes from your asset allocation. But like I mentioned, the alpha is created by the fund managers and active fund. So you will still be able to get a significant part of what equity market have to offer over the longer period.
Thank you, Prabhakar, for sending us your query. We have Rajbir from Amritsar on phone line. Rajbir, hi, good evening. How are you doing today?
Very well, ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. UTI Flexi Cap 4,500, Axis Flexi Cap 2,500. You want to know if you can continue in these funds or you want to switch or you should switch, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hemant?
Well, I think as the name suggests, both these funds are in flexi cap category. And what has happened, we've seen the last 15-16 months that the market didn't move much, barring the last maybe few weeks where we've seen some kind of growth happening. We've seen the market moving up. So what has happened is during this period we didn't see really good return from the equity fund. Maybe that is what is reflecting in the portfolio. The second important thing is both the fund that he's mentioned follow growth investing basically. So what has happened is we have been in a scenario where the inflation was very high, still very high, and the interest rates are moving up. So in a scenario like this, the growth stocks do not do well. That's where we saw the difference that during this period of 15-16 months, the value investing performed better. But I think we are getting to a stage now where we are seeing that maybe interest rates have peaked. We may see interest stabilizing and maybe after a couple of quarters, see globally maybe interest rate coming down. Obviously, some countries will take slightly more time. But the point is that now that we have gone through that period of difficult times of where we didn't get much return, my advice to you would be that both these funds have excellent portfolio. And I think the growth stocks will be back in favor maybe in the next 2 or 3 quarters. So my advice would be that you continue. And don't forget that all that investment that you have made in the last 15-16 months through SIP will definitely help you when there is a turnaround in the fortune of the growth stock. So continue this for some more time, and I think you will see that these funds should be able to make up for the lost time over the next maybe year or so.
Anything else, Rajbir, you want to ask? All right, thank you so much for sending us your query. We move on and we'll take Christopher's question. He's invested 50k in Mirae Focused Fund in April 2022 and he's not seeing profit till date, and he wants to understand if he can just redeem the entire amount and invest it somewhere else for almost 3 years. That's the time frame that he's looking at. He's got Parag Parikh Flexi Cap on his mind and also Motilal Oswal SNP and DSP Innovation Fund. So, yeah, Hemant.
Well, Kavita, I think again, he invested in April 22. We are talking about the same period where, as I mentioned, the market didn't do much, and especially the growth stocks suffered because of higher inflation and, of course, higher interest rate. Again, this is a focus fund. So obviously, the market didn't do much, and the focus fund, because it a concentrated bet, you will see more impact on such fund. But broadly, I would say this fund has a good portfolio. You can give it some more time, but there are 2 important factors to be considered. One, whether this is the only fund in the portfolio. Second, whether significant part of the portfolio has been invested in this. If that is the case, definitely there is a case to maybe take out some money and look at, like you mentioned, Palak Parik Flexi Cap Fund. But if this is a small part of your portfolio, if you can give it some more time, like I said, growth stock should be back on track, and this fund should make up for for the last whatever lower return that fund has given in the last 1 year or so. But like I said, the final decision will depend on the composition of your overall portfolio and the size of it.
All right. On that note, time to wrap up. Thank you so much, Hemant, for being on the show and helping our viewers with their financial portfolio queries. And before I sign off, I'm going to leave our viewers with our WhatsApp number and email ID, where we keep waiting for your mutual fund